1,800 bone meal per hour. That's right, you heard me. 1,800 bone meal per hour out of this small farm. And the one that I'm hiding in the background over there is right around 30,000 to 32,000. Single moss block, fully expandable. If you can build one module, you can build this 16 module unit, and we'll be showing both of them off and how to build one, plus what you need to do in order to expand it. Works fundamentally the same as most moss farms. It has a smooth stone generator, and in this case, to get the speed I wanted, I needed to have a double generator. As you can see, every time moss is getting broken, it gives me a double push. This particular model is faster per unit than the Omango design that a lot of people use. And that was actually my goal in making this. Whoopsie. Let's put a lid on that. Slight design, yeah. Anyway, so I set a goal for myself of wanting to make a farm that was faster, more efficient, and at least as reliable as one of El Mango's. So I chose the Moss Farm. Uh, the biggest difference between mine and his, he has a centralized clock that runs everything. I actually have mine desynchronized. So my water stream is running as fast as I can actually run the water stream. And you'll see as soon as it clears out, I bone meal and start the cycle over. Consequently, I end up getting more cycles of bone mealing than he does in the same time frame. The area where his excels is that because of his centralized timing, he can guarantee he crushes a certain percentage of these moss blocks every single time. Since my clocks are running at different speeds, the number of these moss blocks that I break on any given cycle is actually different. Mine can be anywhere between 4 and 7 depending on the cycle, but you'll see predominantly that's not a problem. Most of the time, I end up clearing most of the blocks. Every now and then, I'll, have a couple left over. That was a pretty big one, and you'll see I've got a couple left over. But mathematically, you'll find that spawning your moss blocks is most likely in the 5x5 area around your moss block. Your 7x7 on the outside is relatively rare comparatively. Consequently, the speed at which this is going means that most cycles I destroy most of the moss blocks. And there might be one or two left on most cycles, except when I get back-to-back big cycles. But because of how many cycles I'm getting of bone mealing above the Omango design, I yield a higher result overall. So the primary purpose that I actually built this for is actually for collecting the moss blocks and the azaleas and all of that kind of thing, right? So my chest here, that's actually overflow what's not getting caught by my composters the way I have this set up. You'll see I also have a double composter system over here. And that double composter is fast enough that it will refuel our system as it's going. And looks like it's not quite full. What's going on? It should be filling itself up and maintaining. Oh, you know what? I see it. There's a hopper missing down low. Anyway, once this gets going, though, you'll see this will go back and forth, and it will basically be pulling on demand as soon as the compost is ready. But anyway, this is running 3 sets of double composters, and that's the bare minimum number that I actually need in order to compost everything on this without backing it up. Here, I have overflow storage, which, it's catching the other stuff. The composters themselves are actually optional as well if you're after the moss blocks and things. That composter that's above the dispenser unit is adequate to keep the system fueled. Now, you can see we're up to about a stack and roughly a quarter here, which, we only turned that on a moment ago. But let's go ahead and turn this guy on. But first, let me show you. I've got it set up differently. I am straight composting directly below the farm, dispensing bone meal into my water cycle, which goes up around. The biggest reason is because of how many entities this creates. And you'll see that as we fire this. It'll take just a moment to warm up, but then you'll see the bone meal start flowing through here pretty darn quick, and it gets a little insane a little fast. And now I have done testing with this on this scale. Um, I'm still working on the overall testing to give an exact number, but as best I can figure, this produces somewhere in about the 30,000 bone meal range. Single hour tests, I have occasionally seen as high as 35,000 on this, but long periods of time, it looks like I'm somewhere around 30 to 32,000 bone meal right here. And this is essentially the same size as El Mango's big farm. And as you can see, I'm using these shulker loaders here to measure my output, just going into these centralized tests here. But grand scheme of things, it runs. It's not too bad. As I'm going through here, you'll see the occasional little bit of frame stutter. So, a farm of this size, it definitely causes a little lag. I have played with El Mango's a good little bit. I do get a little stuttering on his, but I think his might be a little smoother on less powerful PCs. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and clear our inventory. Let's open that water stream just to see how fast this thing actually is. Right. Granted, this isn't an accurate measurement, but this will give you an idea of the kind of numbers we're pushing. And I'm having a little trouble catching it all. Hold on, I need to align myself the right way. Hold on. Where is it at? There we go. There's the sweet spot. Now we're picking it up as fast as this thing's producing. There we go. That's the good stuff. Already up to a couple of stacks, and we even missed a bunch right off the get-go. So, really, it don't get much faster than this. But anyway, El Mango's, like I said, um, is running about 16 of these dispenser units right here. So individual moss blocks getting bone meal dispensed into them. And that's why I built this as big as I did. I wanted to make sure my farm could scale up the same way that his does, still run smoothly, still produce bone meal, not lag itself to death, all of that, because I wanted to build a farm as good as his, right? So consequently, I had to make sure that I could scale up at least to the same size that he demonstrated. And like I said, if your machine can handle it, this can scale up a lot bigger. But as is with Minecraft, your render distance and things like that are a limitation. And the bigger it gets, obviously, the more lag it's going to cause. This thing's producing a boatload of bone meal, right? So there's entities all over the place. I would not run this to collect moss blocks at this size. Um, but if you're after the moss blocks like I am, the single module unit is actually better. But now I think it's time to go about building this. And where we're going to start is with the stone generator. All right. And this is actually one of the later stone generators I produced. I was using this one over here, which uses observers to time everything. The generator itself's a little more compact, but as I've been testing, I discovered that it breaks. You can see it does the double bone meal crushing, this or not bone meal, but moss block crushing, the same as the other, and it comes through. I mean, it's a really fast um, stone generator, and it's reliable for the most part. The problem is during the start and stop cycles, I was discovering, especially once I tried to build a larger one, that I was having more problems, which is why I built the one we're going to build today. But let's turn it off. Let's see if I encounter this issue here. Oh yeah, there you go. See how it's completely jammed up in that little sort of harpoon shape right there? That means that it did not shut off properly. And let's just turn it back on. You'll see what I mean here. It might clear the jam, it might not. Uh, uh, okay, yeah, cleared the jam. No, no, there you go. Up at the top, see how it's starting to produce some cobblestone here and there? That's going to break our farm overall, and it's going to hinder our overall production, which is actually why I produced this guy. You see that sticky piston right there? It's holding out my stone block underneath my lava, so it's preventing anything from jamming it up when this is turned off, which means that when it turns on, it'll turn back on in the proper part of the cycle, which inevitably means that it's not going to break on us. And consequently, this is a no obsidian required farm, although if you put it behind the stairs that are there and underneath these pistons down low and at the top, you can absolutely guarantee that this is an unbreakable system. Loading and unloading of chunks notwithstanding. Now let's go ahead, build one of these out a little further. You'll have to forgive me a little bit on this. I have not built this that many times. But anyway, I would start by putting down 7 repeaters down here because there are 7 slices of this thing, and each slice is identical. Now behind those repeaters, we're going to grab target blocks. And the reason for these target blocks is because it's going to save us a little space. You could put solid blocks here, but then you have to run repeaters into them, um, which, is just more space. Now, you'll see this target block, when I put it down, it connects to the redstone dust, just like most redstone components will, which means that it's taking a signal which it can then move, right? So, pretty nifty there. Now I'm going to need my redstone torches, and they go on top. Yeah. Um, Part I always get confused. One's on top and one's in front. But anyway, we'll put that down. Now we'll get our regular pistons, and we'll put those directly in front of the repeaters. In case you don't know, you can hold shift and click the edge of the box to place your piston right on it. And then we'll come up above it, um, just to give us a little easier placement on these pistons. And once we've got those in place, we're going to kick over to our sticky pistons, which are going to go directly in front of our redstone torches and extend them for us. And this is our anti-break system for our stone generator. All right. Now that's the bottom slice complete. Now, once we generate our stone, we're going to want to push it up and into the center piston right here. And that's what we're going to use to push it forward into our slab. So let's put down a temporary block, just whatever you've got available, and then a piston right on top of it. And once again, we'll come across for a total of 7 of these guys. All right. And then above that, we want another air gap. And we're going to want to put our sticky, sticky pistons here. Had to think about it for a moment. I've only built this 2 or 3 times. I've been copy and pasting it with a world edit thing after I got it figured out. So you'll have to bear with me just a little bit. And then we're going to come behind that. Or no, let's actually put in our pistons first. It's easier if we do these like what no. We want one in front of that. There we go. Right here. Right. So they're going to be in front of our sticky piston and one above it. Right. And we can come in, just get rid of those temporary blocks now. All right. Now we want to come back, have an air gap, and then a target block again. And our redstone torches are going to go on the front of those target blocks this time. And that will once again keep our pistons extended when this is in the off position, which will keep us from breaking our stone generator. All right, so this is where we're sitting. Now we want target blocks directly behind our center pistons here, which is going to make our platform like I mentioned. All right, and so the bottom's done. This section's pretty much done. We are going to need our redstone dust on it. Let's see. That'll go right behind the target blocks. There we go. And now we'll come up and let's see. Give me a moment just to make sure that I'm remembering all of this correctly. Oh, yeah. Um, with the target block set up the way that it is, it's going to unpower our sticky piston and give us a slight delay, which will then push out our regular piston, which is going to cause things to go. Now, here we do have to have a solid block. Glass will not work, right? So we'll put down our solid block and we'll put redstone dust on top of that. Then we need to um, brain lapsing. Oh, right. Blocks on top of our regular pistons here, right? And then a row of blocks in front of the redstone dust we just put down where we will put repeaters there. All right. And these repeaters are going to be on 3 ticks, which will give us the proper delay we need to get this to time right with the whole system. Boom. And other than the clock to run it, that is actually the mechanics of our stone generator all complete. So now we can add in our water and our lava, and we can get to generating some stone. All right, now this space right here in front of the sticky pistons where our stone's going to be generated. So 1 block in front of that is where we want to put our water, right? So we come out by a little bit there, and we can build a box around this. And you're going to want to completely encase this because flowing water near redstone is always a bad day, right? Hmm. All right. Fill this the rest of the way in. And technically, you could actually put source blocks here just by themselves. I use stairs because if you are having troubles with timing, lag, things like that, loading and unloading, obsidian behind stairs will keep the stairs from getting pushed and keep you from destroying your water source blocks. All right, now we just waterlog those, or you put your water in normally. Either or does work. This just makes it a little more break proof. And now we're going to want to come up with our glass above where the water's flowing. So not above the stairs, but the block in front of it. And that's going to generate our stone for us. Now, interesting thing, if your lava flows over water, it'll turn where the water is into stone. But if your water flows into where flowing magma already is, that'll create cobblestone. So the way that you set up this generator is a little bit important here. All right, but now that we got that, we'll grab our lava bucket and we can just place one dead center here and it will spread out. So there you go. We're starting to generate our stone and it's going slowly but surely until it spreads all the way out. 7 blocks is the most you can get out of a single source. If you prefer, you can fill this whole thing in with lava. It doesn't really make a difference. We'll go ahead and do that down here on the bottom, just because some people like it aesthetically. And oh, missed one there. There we go. So our bottom stone generator is now complete. And I didn't mention this before. The glass that I put behind it is going to get pushed up and out of this system. So the stuff that's gonna get pushed up or down, depending on if we're talking top or bottom generator. Oh, yeah, close off the sides by the pistons. Water flows fast enough when they retract um, that it can get out of the system if you don't. But anyway, um, the glass that's going to get pushed up or down by our regular pistons at the top and bottom is going to get pushed out of the system. So the bit of glass directly behind the lava on the bottom there, you could put stone in instead if glass is a rare commodity for you on a survival world. Or anything. You just pull it out after you start the system, and it'll be pretty apparent. So it's not a big deal either way, but it might save you some resources there. All right, so we got stairs in just like we did down below. And this is where I was saying we can put obsidian right here, and that'll make it so that these blocks cannot be pushed out. But my experience so far, it hasn't happened to me with this particular design. As long as I don't spam click my power button. All right, and just to show you that it works both ways and doesn't matter, I will leave this as one source block here at the top. All right, so that's the actual stone generator completed. All we have to do now is put a clock on it, and we're going to line it up exactly the same way this one is. It's actually kind of hypercritical to get the alignment right on this because of that observer right there. He's actually looking at one of my repeaters turning on and off, and that's what's generating my double push pulse in the middle. All right, so let's put him down before we forget things. And now let's build the rest of our platform for the rest of our clock. So we're going to need 4 spaces for repeaters, and then an extra 2 on each side for redstone dust or our pulse generator. The side our pulse generator is going on, and I'll show you that right here. It's just going to be an observer that's powering a sticky block, and we'll go ahead and put that on a switch right here for now, or a lever rather. Pull him back out. There we go. Now we definitely want that touching one of our dusts, and from the dust, well, let's get rid of that observer. Actually, when I place these down, it's going to cause that thing to pulse. Although I guess it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, you want one of your repeaters pointing directly into the block to power it. And we want to set our ticks up here a certain way because that's what gives us the right pulse and tick speed for our double push in the middle. Let me double check and make sure I did that right. I did not. There we go. So that needs to be on one of the 4 tick repeaters. And I tried this on multiple repeaters, but it was the cleanest way that I could get a double pulse here in the middle. So now when I flick the switch, it'll start this clock, and our generator will do things. And we're kind of at the point where we might as well just turn it on because that's actually going to build our stone platform. But let's wire up the top and the bottom first. You'll see that I'm actually running it on opposite sides of the clock. And I do actually need to replace one of these glass blocks with a solid block. It does not have to be this particular brick. You can use any block you want as long as it's solid. The redstone signal won't travel down the glass is the only reason. But now that we got that, we'll put a repeater here, and we'll leave him on 1 tick because the redstone dust is going down back there. It'll power the block, which will then power the repeater and power the bottom half of our generator. And that clock will make sure that we always generate smooth stone when we do this. There we go. Now the top half is a little more straightforward. As you can see over here, I just step up and go straight into my target blocks, right? So we got one there, and then we take one more step up right here, and brain stuff. Oh, right. I'm just looking at things weird. Like I said, I've only built this one like 2 or 3 times. So the from memory aspect is definitely a slight issue. But we'll come up and then we'll come across with our blocks and then throw down a line of redstone dust behind it that connects to those blocks again, which will power our torches and stuff. So now we're actually all ready to fire it. So flip the switch and it's going to build our stone platform. And there's those 2 slices of glass like I was talking about. In this case, it depends on what you used for a block there. You do want to break it out for both layers. Um, I've built a few versions. Some of them go out to the edge on it, and some of them don't. So I have to double check every time. So now we've got that part all complete. Now it's time to build um, our actual moss farm part of this. And to do that, we're going to start with dispensers. So from the edge, we want to count back 7 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's 8 right there. 2 spaces. No, 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 no. I want to go back an 8th space because this is going to dispense a source block for me, and then water can flow out 7 from the source block. So 7 plus our source block gives us 8, so I want to come back an additional 1. So I want to put down a line of these. Oops, make sure they're all facing forward. And then I'm going to want to place water buckets in these. And you can do this now, you can do this at the end. It doesn't really matter when you do this step. All right, there you go. Now we want to encase the sides of this. And efficiency tip, you want to put a row of glass down here next to your stone. If you don't, the little corner in the edges the moss blocks are breaking can drop them on the ground and decrease your efficiency. But we want to build this up at least 2 above where our water stream is going to be moving. And put glass above your dispensers. This is an important step to not substitute that glass above the dispensers for something else. I've encountered weird issues with some kind of bug where when I'm using a regular solid block there, so it could be stone, netherrack brick, it doesn't really matter. Um, it causes my dispensers to go all weird and out of sync. So now I want redstone dust above my dispensers. Nice, quick, easy, and we'll come back and we'll add the clock at the end. All right, now this is the magic that makes this work. Okay, this observer that I'm putting in right now, it watches my water stream. Every time a water stream changes its flow state, it sends out a pulse. So this guy's watching my water stream and he's sending it up. And in combination with that block, this repeater right here is set to 4 ticks. And 4 ticks is important. Trust me, I've tested this. Another brick into a comparator that goes into another brick, and a brick on top of our comparator. And then we want to run redstone dust along these top 3 right here. This is a pulse extender. Those 4 ticks give me exactly the time that I need in order to do this. Now, coming off of that, I'm going to come off with 2 more of my building block. In this case, my red nether brick. So 1, 2. And then I'm going to place down repeaters. The farther one set to 4 ticks, and the closer one set to just the regular 1 tick that you get out of it. And the 1 tick one is going to be going into a block. All right. So block like that. And then that block is going to be behind a sticky piston. And this is where it gets a little complicated. That sticky piston is going to hold on to this observer. Okay. And this observer is going to move back and forth into a block. You can see to the right there, there's a block kind of in front of it that it's going to get pushed into right here. And that's going to power this repeater that I'm going to put down, set to 2 ticks. That 2 ticks is important because it's going to keep my sticky piston that's going down right here from just releasing the observer down low every time that it moves. It's going to hold on to it, so it's going to go down and up with every cycle. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to need a dropper and a dispenser. All right, the dropper is going to go above and the dispenser down below it. Just like this. There's our dropper, and it's facing down into the dispenser. And then our dispenser is going to face forward. And no, 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 it needs to go down by 1. Sorry. let's let's pop this out. There we go. And then dropper facing down, and we'll get rid of that guy. All right. Our hoppers and our composter will go on top of that. Now I need my moss block. And it's going to go in front of our dispenser. Boom. And that's the composting system all assembled. And it's pretty slick and easy, right? Now let's go ahead and put our composters on top of it. So we need our hopper and then a hopper going into it from the side. We need a pair of composters that'll go on top of both of these. Boom and boom. A hopper going into each of them to feed stuff to compost in. And I want a barrel. There we go. The barrel goes on top of one. It doesn't matter which. And then a hopper pointing into that barrel. And this is going to be the bottom of our water stream for this particular layout. All right. And like I said, particular layout because this one goes straight into composters, turns it into bone meal. So the water stream is moving bone meal, not all of the massive number of items. And that, like I said, it's just important from a lag standpoint. Because really, if you need massive amounts of bone blocks, this single unit is going to be perfectly adequate. And this guy, oh, right, I've got everything feeding into that dropper there. The combination with the comparator, redstone dust, that block, a sticky piston goes into a observer clock, which fires off the droppers whenever they've got something in them. All right. This one, I'm just going to send all of the stuff that we're producing up and around to run this system here. All right, so put in our wall for a water stream. And really, this top layer is probably not essential. I always do it just because I like uniformity, to be honest with you. All right, I want some ice. I'm going to want a sign. Let's do crimson wood because we're fancy. And soul sand. There we go. We'll put our water in over here in the corner. And that'll come back. We'll replace this last block with our ice. And we'll put a sign on the back side there. Put it on this side because if you don't, entities can get caught on the other. Soul sand down, and then we're just going to make our bubble elevator from here. I don't know the exact number on the height here. I just eyeball it, to be honest with you. So I bring this out, and then I come down. This is going to be my low side, relatively speaking, because my water is going to flow on it. So this is going to be a block taller, and that's going to be true for these other 3 sides. So all the way up and all the way up. There we go. Now let's build a wall around it so we don't have water leaking all over our redstone and making us cry. There we go, and that's plenty long enough for the original water source. I'm not going to put a collection system on this one because, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Self-explanatory from the other. Now we build our bubble elevator. If you're familiar with doing this, you know that you can just place kelp down in there and then break the kelp. It'll turn all the water into sources if you just place one source block at the top up here. All right, now let's come back and we'll hit this with ice again. And we'll put in our sign, put it on the front side of the machine this time because everything's going to get pushed to the back because of that water stream. You could also put in a slab here, which would work just as well. And we'll go ahead and extend this out just to throw in our second water. But really, like I said, we're not putting a collection on this one. It's straightforward enough. And I've already been talking for way too long. There we go. So everything will just end up pretty much right here at the end. Now we can start this up. This is a stupid efficient design. You don't actually need that much bone meal to get it started. You could probably get it kicked off of like 10 or so, and it'll fuel itself from there. Uh, Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and test this. We'll put in 9 bone meal, and we'll fire it up. Oh, right, clock. I said we'd do that at the end. All right. So we need our repeaters again. All right, we're going to need a total of 5 of them here. One of them is going to point into our slime block like last time, and then we need redstone dust for that slime block to connect to. So we'll go ahead, put this right here. We'll put a slime block on top of it. Well, I guess this is the off position. Yeah, there we go. And then we need a uh, uh, sticky piston to push all of this into this guy. Oh, and we need to set our repeaters. All of them are going to be 4 ticks, except for this last one. It's only going to be 2 ticks. So grand total of 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18 ticks total is what we're running this at. All right, and that's literally as fast as our water stream can go. But that's the tick difference between the pair of these. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Can I just put a block here and a lever? Hold on. That I think, yeah. Oh, no. Whoops. That didn't work. Hold on, I want this to work. Give me a second. I'm gonna make this switch work. I want it on one lever. I redesign how I end up connecting this specific bit every single time I do it. Um, let's see. That should be there. Instead of down lower. So piston on the slime block. I want this to work. Um, oh, my, you know, I don't know if this is gonna work. Let's try this. Let's go ahead and put in another brick right here and redstone dust on top of both of these. I'm not sure if that'll connect or not, but we're gonna try. Yeah, yeah, that's a winner. And why is this not firing? Because my repeaters are right. My dust is good. It's not coming back. Oh, I'm missing a redstone dust right there. It has to be a full circle, otherwise it doesn't do the thing. There we go. Now it should be producing as expected. Yeah, there we go. And this thing should basically run for eternity at this point. I mean, as long as you're in the area. Oh, yeah. kept this off. As we've seen twice now, that is an issue. But now our composters are collecting and all of that, and everything extra can be, composted, collected, whatever over here. As you can see, even just this one unit is producing pretty quick. But yeah, it's a pretty slick unit, huh? And yeah, our dropper's starting to fill up. And we're making good progress towards sustaining this thing outright. We're not quite back up to our 9 original bone meal, but you can see we're getting pretty close already. Let's see, 8, 9. Uh, and I'm not sure how long it actually takes to fill it up this way. Um, I haven't actually bothered to test that particular aspect, but I know that it will absolutely do it. Because well, it's already making more bone meal than it's consuming at this point, so it's just a matter of time. And even if it wasn't, this extra that I'm picking up here, we could just run into a composter, come back, fill this up. But you can see we're already up over our original 9 in the system, plus all of the little stuff that we picked up. But let's go ahead and fill this up now that I've proven that little point there. You could probably get away with less than 9, but I'd say 9's your safe minimum. But fill it all the way up, fill this guy. And now we'll see that our composters basically will go back and forth. One of them will finish composting and fill up, and it'll fire, and then the next one, and back and forth. So this thing's moving right about the speed of two composters at all times, and this is what it produces beyond what it needs to fuel itself. It is a lot of material. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more insane stuff. I'll be getting back into my Let's Play series here before too long. Um, as people know, I'm actually a really big fan of the bone block, and this is a phenomenal way to get massive amounts of bone blocks. So I'll probably be building this in my survival world even. Don't know where I'm putting it yet, but that's just kind of the way that all of it is and how it goes. Uh, let's see. I feel like I'm forgetting something though. Um, oh, you know what? I know exactly. I know exactly what I'm forgetting. On top of all of these fantastic little tidbits that we're picking up, I kind of promised that I would show you how to tie more than one of these machines together into the big boy over there. It's actually really simple. You build your modules next to each other, okay? And it takes a total of 4 repeaters to tie all this together. This switch right here is just some janky stuff to get my pulse generators going into my clocks. In this particular case, for ease of wiring, I am running 4 separate clocks. So one for each of the water cycles and one for each line of my stone generators, right? So overall, I mean, let's see how much we can catch. Yeah, you kind of caught it there, right? That hits some observers, which then fire everything off into there. There's more than one way to accomplish this. This was just the most straightforward. After designing this farm, my brain was too mentally taxed to bother with a nicer switch, if I'm being quite honest. But you'll see it goes. And to tie it together, it takes a total of 4 repeaters. One here, tying these target blocks to those. One tying these target blocks to the next set. And one tying these target blocks to the next set. You see a pattern here? And then at the top, to tie our water streams together, just one repeater, hopping from one module to the next. Right? Boom. And then I'm not going to bother with the water stream on this. If you need a farm this large, you already know how to handle your water streams. So you can build that up however you feel is appropriate. In this case, I was actually going to do fancy things with sea pickles and honey blocks and stuff because I can. And then I realized that my water elevator over there was too limited, so I threw an extra hopper in back here just to catch the items. But yeah, this 3 lawn space wasn't long enough to actually utilize the sea pickle. But if you want to see an example of that, go check out El Mango's 25,000 an hour moss farm. He does utilize it in there. And to be quite honest, that was the only reason I was going to include it here. It's not an essential thing, but from a compactness standpoint, it can definitely be beneficial. I actually thought about redoing those um, composters down at the bottom so that I could use the sea pickle, but I mean, that was silly. But anyway, like I was saying, hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'd like to see some comments, man. I put a lot of time and effort into this farm. I am stupid proud of it. And I plan to be doing a lot more shenanigans of this nature and level of redstone, explaining all the way through how it works and everything. And I'm actually running a mini series right now about my moss farms and how I arrived where I arrived ultimately and the process going through. You can see some of the models in the background for how all of that worked and everything. But really, the desynchronized clock here, that was the key to increasing the efficiency above the Omango design. By breaking this apart into what's essentially 2 or 3 machines, depending on how you count it, I was able to increase my yield. Um, but that was a slim margin, man. Um, and it was really hard to get this, especially that water stream timer for my bone meal dispensing. But anyway, I really appreciate you stopping by, and I really do hope that I catch you again in another video. Bye now.